Bloom and Gloom? Bloom and Gloom. You know, that title reminds me of Plants vs. Zombies. That's about all I have to say beforehand, so let's just jump in, shall we? The episode greets us with the Cutie Mark Crusaders' clubhouse. The CMC are here. Obviously, it's not like they'd show us the clubhouse if no one was in it.
Who wants to do roll call?
That seems a bit unnecessary.
I'm pretty sure we're all here.
Yeah.
And that's the joke. Maybe it's time I stopped playing straight man to characters in the show that other characters are already playing straight man to. So, Apple Bloom has a letter from Babseed. She got her cutie mark, apparently. It's a pair of scissors. I have to wonder what her talent is, though. I mean, I really doubt it's main selling, considering this. So yeah, it's a pair of scissors.
So she's good at cutting stuff?
I don't think you know just how much I'd be willing to bet that someone has already written a Babseed version of cupcakes. Sweetie Belle doesn't seem too surprised by Babs' cutie mark.
Worse. She was always fussing with her bangs and tail. I'll bet she grows up to be a celebrity stylist.
I have to say that's pretty observant. I don't think I ever noticed her doing that. The issue arises that now she has something to do with her life, she can't run the Manhattan CMC.
She can't be a cutie mark crusader if she's already got her cutie mark.
Foreshadowing. Sweetie Belle comments on how she would hate having Babs' special talent.
I'm glad she's happy, but I sure wouldn't want to be up to my flank in mane hair all day. Can you imagine getting stuck with a cutie mark you didn't like?
Yeah, sure. Let's just pile on all the cutie mark related issues and call it an episode. The kids will love it. Apple Bloom never considered the possibility before. She's a bit concerned now. But don't worry, because Sweetie Belle, master of comforting ponies, is on the way, and oh, sweet mother of Elizabeth, get that thing away from me.
Don't worry, Apple Bloom. Most of your family is apple-related cutie marks. I bet yours will be too.
I bet yours will be too.
I bet yours will be too.
Now that you put it that way, I sure am glad that my family will determine where I go in life before I'm even born. Thanks, Sweetie Belle. I feel heaps better.
And what's not to like about apples? There's the core, and sour apples, and rotten apples, and apples with worms in them. What? Not helping.
Hypocrisy! I know it's hard to believe, but all of this talk about how Apple Bloom's cutie mark is totally predetermined and will put her in a dead-end job that she doesn't even like but can't change because it's her special talent actually terrifies her. I know! Speaking of predetermined things that are dead and can't be changed, the theme song. Let's just skip that. So Apple Bloom voices her concerns to Applejack, presumably later that night. She actually breaks into yelling. Of course, Applejack is there to remind her that she's going to be fine. In fact, when Apple Bloom is still stressed about all of that, Applejack actually sings her a lullaby. I'm not going to lie, this scene is really sweet. It showcases their relationship really well without overplaying it or making Applejack an overprotective bubble wrap freak. Not naming any names. Actually, that lullaby is pretty important. While removing it wouldn't destroy the episode, it does hint to the solution of the conflict that's obviously been established. Specifically, the last line of the lullaby.
A cutie mark won't change you, no matter what you get.
I'm sure plenty of people have dissected this little rhyme thoroughly before I got to it, so I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on it, but I think it's worth the time to draw your attention to it. Basically, she's saying that the pony is not a physical realization of the cutie mark. Rather, the cutie mark is a pictorial representation of the pony. So Apple Bloom dozes off, and shortly after, it's morning.
Hoo-wee!
No. Bad. You are not allowed to wake up that easily. She runs downstairs for breakfast. Again, how dare she be so wide awake already? Huh. Guess there were leftover pancakes from the breakfast last episode. Apple Bloom tells AJ about how insanely good she feels at such an early time of day. This is nonsensical. AJ, of course, is glad that she feels better. Oh. She's staring at her sister's flank. Oh. She got her cutie mark. Overnight. Aren't cutie marks supposed to be received upon a realization? Jeez, I'm surprised you didn't get a cutie mark of maracas. Big Mac is frightened by this concept.
Wait till I tell the others that my cutie mark is a... What is it?
This line is an extremely relevant one for me. What is it is such an important question for everyone to ask. For pretty much all of my life, I've never really struggled at learning how to do things. I've always had a natural aptitude for picking things up and becoming proficient in them. I can't think of a single time where I've gotten less than an A on a report card, so I've come to expect an A from myself. And you know what this turned me into? A perfectionist. Not only a perfectionist, but a completionist. I have to complete everything perfectly. So I feel like if I'm not doing everything, if I haven't tried literally everything there is to try and done well at it, then I've wasted myself. I've wasted my natural ability to learn quickly and efficiently. I'm horribly scared that what I think I'm good at now isn't what I'm best at. I'm scared that what I'm best at is something that I haven't done yet. Something that maybe I won't ever do. That a key part of myself is locked inside, possibly to remain locked to the day that I die. Something I will never know. The thought of not knowing and doing everything scares me. I've grown anxious, overly anxious. If I'm not perfect, if I'm not the best, then my mind automatically places me as the worst. While I've started to improve in this regard, being more able to take legitimate criticism, I still have this anxiety when I'm waiting for feedback. I want to be the best at everything, and realistically I can't. No one can. Being a completionist is terrible, but I can't help but want to do everything, with the hopes that maybe, if there is something locked up inside of me, I'll find it. This is why MLP appeals to such a wide age range. The CMC are doing all of these things, especially earlier on, trying to figure out what they're good at. They try literally everything, but they haven't stopped to consider what they like doing, and that they should just keep doing what they love. That decision is the most important decision anyone can make in their life. There's something that you have a passion for, something that you can work hard at and love doing. The problem comes with being so young when it's time to ask that question. What is it? Back in the episode, an old stallion who should have retired a long time ago steps into their house claiming to know what that thing on her flank is. Fair enough, considering the fact that he has a near-identical image on his own. So Apple Bloom goes with the stallion. Basically, it has to do with keeping infestations at bay.
Infestations? You mean like Paris brats?
Please, any pony with a trombone can get rid of Paris sprites.
It's a good thing I own 3. I'm not kidding. Hey! Stop laughing! Also, I find it odd that Apple Bloom still remembers that, even though 1,000 more interesting and more devastating events have happened in the years since that episode. Anyways, apparently Apple Bloom is supposed to suck up these things called Twittermites. To be honest, that sounds like a knockoff brand of Parasprites. Parasprite cereal is 50% healthier than other leading brands, such as Twittermite, Rittertite, and Diddlywhite.
Ponies like you and me are the only things keeping these live wires from destroying half of Equestria.
Isn't this a pretty nifty representation of the immense responsibility that comes with choosing a path? You're stuck with it, whether you like it or not. And don't you try to back out, because if you do, there's no one else doing your job for you. You're good at it, so how dare you keep your talent from the world? Yeah, and he says some other things that back up this metaphor. It makes it pretty obvious that's what the episode is going for if you think into it, but it's not immensely unsubtle. Apple Bloom isn't so sure about this guy, but she keeps following him anyways. It's not like there's much else she can do. So he takes her over to this machine and releases a bunch of Twittermites into the air. And with no warning whatsoever beyond a bad pun,
Apart they spread, the more powerful these ghosts will get.
A comparison can be drawn between the Twittermites and trying new things. When Apple Bloom chases the Twittermites, they're constantly getting farther apart from one another. When the CMC are chasing their cutie marks, they do a whole bunch of different tasks. Yet, it seems that they are getting farther and farther from actually getting their cutie marks. And the longer they spend catching their Twittermites, the more pain comes when they aren't caught. Apple Bloom thinks catching these Twittermites is the right path to take, but it's not. It's simply not. It's not what she needs to do. Similarly, just trying random things isn't the way they're going to get their cutie marks. So yeah, it's natural that she goes and catches all of the Twittermites. Obviously, they're a danger to her and the area around her, so she has to. Of course, the stallion immediately leaves. He doesn't even listen to what Apple Bloom has to say. He's quite rude, to be honest. Oh, and now Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon are here. Okay then. Then they bully her. I don't really think I have to go into too much detail as to what this scene represents, as it's pretty on the nose. Whatever she gets, DT is probably going to bully her for it. I do have to say that I thought Diamond Tiara calling for a friend was pretty funny just for how purely ridiculous the idea is.
Yeah, friend!
Stop it!
Anyways, after Apple Bloom runs off in anger, the jar of Twittermites starts cracking. This resonates strongly with me because it symbolizes the feeling of inadequacy at something one is good at. The feeling of being subpar when you're not doing your absolute best, or when you are doing your absolute best and there's someone doing better than you are. It's subtle, but it's a powerful representation of how bullying can break you down and make you crack under your self-consciousness. So Apple Bloom runs off into some cave, talking to herself about how maybe Diamond Tiara was right about her cutie mark being bad. Then a voice speaks to her.
Why should you have to keep it then?
Ah! Starlight Glimmer! Well, you know what they say. Get 'em while they're young. Apple Bloom is freaked out, as she probably should be. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't feel terribly comfortable with a hypnotic voice talking to me in a cave about how it can fix all of my life's problems by removing a tattoo on my butt that I didn't even know I had until I woke up this morning. Apple Bloom doubts the voice's abilities, but welcomes it to try. In a bit of an angry fashion. A gust of wind, and it's gone. Apparently her cutie mark was attached to her flank with Scotch tape. So now Apple Bloom feels better. She doesn't have to worry about her stupid cutie mark. Oh. But then the mob of screaming ponies runs her over. Oh. Oh. Ponyville is destroyed. By the Twittermites. She can't change her life. Once she gets her cutie mark, everyone depends on her to do what it says. And if she tries to change it, everything she loves can and will be destroyed. Life is blackmailing her. So she gears up to catch the Twittermites, despite a distinct lack of a cutie mark. And immediately, she fails. She gets shocked multiple times. This is a representation of Apple Bloom's misunderstanding of cutie marks. She just doesn't understand that cutie marks don't define her or her abilities. Like how your college degree doesn't define you. You define your cutie mark in the same way you choose your major. Your cutie mark can't control you. As for some of the stuff that happens in the premiere, I'm not going to cover that right now. Just know that my theory has an explanation for that, which I will discuss in that episode. Applejack runs up and questions Apple Bloom, frightened by the entire situation, and Apple Bloom explains that she's trying to stop the Twittermites. Of course, Applejack doubts her ability to do so. AJ then tells her to follow the family out of town.
But I've got to do something!
That's really mature of her, I have to say. She needs to take care of her responsibilities. She caused this, so she has to stop it. But of course, she's too late, as the Twittermites burn her house down with the lemons. Then she's shocked by a bunch of Twittermites and... Now, see, that's a much more realistic portrayal of waking up in the morning. Apple Bloom adjusts to her bedroom, then heads downstairs for breakfast. Also, level 2 pancakes. Oh, and she got her cutie mark again. And Applejack is surprised again.
Looks like some pony got her cutie mark.
Again?
I love how little this quote makes sense out of context. Don't you just hate it when you get your cutie mark for the second time this week? Like, ugh, hashtag relatable post, hashtag relatable post 2016, hashtag no filter. Well, at least this one is one that she enjoys doing. Apple Bloom naturally gallops out the front door to tell the other Crusaders. And for some reason, the other two are just hanging out in Apple Bloom's treehouse playing, shoes when she's not around. Why do I get the feeling they were reading her diary or something earlier? Or perhaps setting up booby traps to get Bloom's mane covered in maple syrup. So she shows them her mark, and they jump up and down for about 5 whole seconds, but sadly, the other two didn't get theirs at the exact same time as Apple Bloom. It's okay, because Apple Bloom will help them. Oh. Or not.
Well, you can't be a Cutie Mark Crusader if you've already got your Cutie Mark.
That's right. Once your friends get a job, you can just tell them to screw off, because you can't be a part of the job hunters if you've already got a job. You don't need friends, because you have a minimum wage working at McDonald's. Hooray! Now, this clearly shows that Apple Bloom is scared of losing her friends, simply because she finds her cutie mark at a different time from them, and the group is split up because of it. Simply because she is at a different stage of her life from her friends. Not having the time to spend with them because you're busy doing different things, your job, and thus drifting apart from them. She tries to compromise, letting the two of them work it out while she sits nearby, but...
I don't even think we're still supposed to be friends. What?
And they shut the door on her. And it's immediately boarded up. So, are they just stuck in there now? Do they need someone to bring them food and water, or do they plan to just slowly rot away and die in there? I would recommend neither of those, as they're both rather inefficient ways of resolving this conflict. So apparently Apple Bloom just phased back to the cave. Of course, she starts running in circles, shouting for Sweetieville and Scootaloo, while simultaneously assuming it's just a prank. And like that, the voice is back, assuming Apple Bloom has more troubles with cutie marks. Apple Bloom tells her what happened.
To me, like cutie marks and trouble are two peas in the same pod.
Oh, just equalize her already.
If I was a blank flink again, there wouldn't be a problem.
Apple Bloom fears that she'll need to change herself for her friends. She feels insecure. So, of course, a tornado surrounds her, and now she's free. So Apple Bloom invites the CMC to meet at the clubhouse, proudly showing off her new lack of a cutie mark.
Actually, Apple Bloom, we both sorta got our cutie marks.
And immediately, Apple Bloom hides her flank with her tail. See, this episode is showing that she's not just afraid of getting her cutie mark too soon, but also of being the last one to get it. It's like, no matter when she gets it, she's scared that something's going to change.
And we certainly don't have time to hang out in an old clubhouse. Yeah, we've got responsibilities now.
Apple Bloom is scared that if she gets her cutie mark last, then her friends are going to get too caught up with what they have to do that they'll leave her behind. And, to be fair, this is a valid fear. Though Sweetieville and Scootaloo obviously wouldn't be so harsh on her. But, yes, major life choices often do cause friends to drift apart, and that's scary. After calling after them to come back, and for some reason teleporting into the clubhouse while it's still boarded up, she wakes up. And at this point, she's starting to get the feeling that something's not right. Also, this is starting to remind me of something.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Downstairs, AJ made pancakes. Hold the pan. Oh, and apparently Apple Bloom just casually walks downstairs with a blanket on her head. Yeah, that's normal. Oh, and Applejack notices Apple Bloom's cutie mark despite the blanket that's still on her back. Of course, now her family's investigating her. Something's evidently wrong, but they won't say what it is until Big Mac speaks up.
Truth is, Apple Bloom, it's your cutie mark.
Oh, really? I thought it was her mane. Apple Bloom is scared of what her cutie mark could be, of course. Oh, apparently she's also scared of all the angry parents that are going to complain about how offensive the eyes on this dolphin are. And now there's this segment, with her family circling around her in this black place with all of the messed up voices.
No apple.
Nope. What?
And we don't have room for non-apples.
Nope.
Apple Bloom is also scared of how her family will react. She's scared that ponies only care about her because of what she is, not because of who she is. So her family kicks her out of the house, basically. Oh, and who knew they had a space vortex in their closet? I sure didn't. And, of course, Apple Bloom wakes up again. Actually, she falls in a pile of blankets and... Oh. Apple Bloom is getting tired of waking up with cutie marks. Luckily, she has a mirror, so maybe she can check before going downstairs this time. And she doesn't have one. Oh, and then she turns around.
What the?
You know, you should make an act out of this. You could become insanely rich. Also, Apple Bloom's talent is Apple Bloom. I love it. Next, you can see all of these different cutie marks spinning around her. She's being swarmed by all of the possibilities, all of her potential paths in life, and she can't take them.
I don't want to see another cutie mark as long as I live!
And then she spiraled down a path that somehow led her to become Starlight Glimmer. Someone write a fanfic about this. And she's back in the cave forest thing again, and the voice welcomes her back. Apple Bloom shouts at her in anger, demanding the voice undo whatever spell it used on her. The voice, however, says it didn't cast a spell.
I only did what you wanted.
The voice then describes how it helped Apple Bloom get out of all of those bad situations earlier, then offers to help with her family.
I don't want your help! Just get away from me!
Now Apple Bloom doesn't even want to try to deal with cutie marks anymore. She's so sick of thinking about her future and stressing about everything that she feels like she doesn't even remember what it was like not to. This is the problem with forcing kids to decide their lives in middle school. And now a less distorted voice. Is it Luna? Oh, no. It's just two wings floating through space. Okay. She says that she can't run from her own shadow. Her subconscious, obviously. To show her, Luna raises the moon to light the area, and sure enough... OMG, she does become Starlight as canon!
It's just me? You mean I've been doing all this to myself?
Like I said, her subconscious. She's dreaming, as Luna reveals.
If I've been dreaming this whole time, why don't I just wake up?
Sometimes we can worry about a thing so much the fear can make us feel like we're trapped in a nightmare.
That's probably because she literally is. Just a thought. So Luna takes Apple Bloom to Alicorn Ascension Land, right, and asks her if she fears anything.
I guess I'm pretty worried about getting my cutie mark.
It's good that she's talking to someone about this. It's important to talk about things that make you feel scared, inadequate, betrayed, etc. Keeping them inside is just going to increase your paranoia, while getting them out will help you feel like you have someone you can trust. Luna is glad to play this role, of course.
Well, that is the same as worrying about who you are.
As I've said earlier, the cutie mark doesn't define you. You define the cutie mark. Similarly, your career doesn't define you. You define your career.
You cannot accept who you are. Your life might seem like a bad dream.
I have to give this episode props for being so mature. This is something that a large number of kids deal with at a really young age. A lot of kids have low self-esteem already, and forcing them to make life choices at a young age with school is only going to make them feel worse if they don't pick something they want to do for life on the first try.
Be the only pony in the universe that's worried about her cutie mark.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
That's appropriate, considering just how many people are stressed about their future. Luna decides to show Apple Bloom Sweetie Belle's dream first. She's about to start singing on Equestrian Idol or something, when suddenly she's a janitor. 'Tis a good life, making minimum wage, cleaning up vomit on the floor of an elementary school cafeteria. Next, we see Scootaloo's dream. She's about to pull the sickest stunt ever done. She's made sure to take all of the safety precautions. She has her helmet on, and her cape is on, so she can glide down in case she goes too high. Looks like she's good to pull the sickest stunt ever. She's ready for this. She thinks to herself, I can do this, over and over again to boost her confidence. This stunt is going to be intense. She flutters her wings to pick up her speed and starts careening down the ramp, picking up immense amounts of velocity. The ramp is getting closer and closer. She's almost there, and she's going to go flying. Suddenly, a thought occurs to her. She could really go for some cake right now. Upon this realization, the entirety of her life beyond this point in time is altered. She flies off of a cliff into a giant ravine. Nothing can stop this, mass quantity of dough. After all of these nightmares, Luna decides it's time this night ended. She brings the CMC to a dream version of the clubhouse. She tells them Apple Bloom wants to tell them something before they wake up.
We're still asleep? Cool!
This is simultaneously adorable and unbearably heartbreaking. Apple Bloom makes a speech, and I can sum it up as hammering in the morals a bit more. I think it's a little bit much, considering they've been slowly hammering them in harder and harder as the episode has progressed. At first, it was subtle enough, but now it's a bit too blatant. Of course, that's fair enough, considering this moral is more aimed towards kids, and it's good to let kids know at a young age that whatever path they choose, it's not going to make people hate you. Unless it's genocide. Then everyone will hate you. The topic shifts to Babseed, and they decide to send her a care package. Once they wake up, of course. Which they do immediately. Apple Bloom is relieved to find her flank blank, as always, and next we see her breakfast. It's pancakes. I told you there were leftovers from the pancake breakfast last episode. Well, either that or Apple Bloom's dream crept into reality. And Apple Bloom enters the kitchen.
Ain't no call to worry, so don't you cry or fret.
Cutie Mark won't change me, no matter what I get.
It's a bit odd that she was singing that at the exact moment Apple Bloom came downstairs. Like, how could she know it's still relevant?
Feeling better?
Big Mac is happily surprised that Applejack actually got it this time, especially after all the pancakes she dropped on the floor trying to do that. He's just glad that maybe now she won't keep wasting all the stuff he's harvested. Maybe that's the real reason Apple Bloom's dream kept cycling, because Applejack had to make that shot across the room.
You have no idea.
See? Now what did I tell you? A good night's sleep cures just about everything.
I mean, only when Princess Luna steps in.
I guess so. I just wish it hadn't been so exhausting.
Yeah, that's right. Sleeping made me tired. No, I'm not going to elaborate on what happened. I'm just going to eat my pancakes now. So that was Bloom and Gloom. I apologize for the long review, but I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about that I felt was important to talk about. As for the episode itself, I'd say it was definitely a good episode. My score for this episode is a 9 out of 10. It had a good moral, and it didn't make any major failings in its executions. It definitely had enough entertainment value to keep you invested, and it did a good job of showing Apple Bloom's fears. My only real problem with the episode is the simple fact that the moral, as mature and important as it is, was hammered in a bit too much towards the end. However, it didn't take too long before it was over, and it didn't take much from the episode. That said, you will see me in the next episode. Thanks for the memories. Let me say that it may be quite a ride.